All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting week of Track Limits Racing Sports Car Series Season 2026. 2026, Season number 1. I'm Fenichini. Once again, back in the booth with me is, as always, Phil Milley. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to be here.
Heck yeah. I am as well. It's been a few weeks. We've had a little bit of a reprieve after our triple header to start out the season. Going from Daytona to Sebring to Long Beach to round out that triple header. And now we're over at the other side. Staying on the other side after we went over to Long Beach to be at WeatherTech Laguna Seca. A fantastic course. Are you familiar with this course? How familiar are you in general?
Very familiar. I mean, I've played it in so many different video games, and then also just being a fan of motorsport throughout my life and stuff like that. Laguna Seca has been a very iconic track, and I think it is one of the. I think it's one of the. I would probably call it probably one of the top 3 American road courses in terms of like its pedigree. So. Okay. For me, I'm really excited. I think this is going to be like Long Beach and a very difficult circuit for this particular group of machinery. But I think that for people that are going to be patient and be able to navigate traffic, I think there is a lot of benefit. I don't think you're going to have to take near as many risks to get the points out of it, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Absolutely. Speaking of points, well, why don't we see how much we can get through here before the race starts in terms of our points totals, if you're game for that?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. Theoretically, the only thing that's changed is we get a fantastic points graphic here. It looks like it actually is functioning for us as intended, which is always good to see. LMP3 Pro, Jaden Ledbetter, currently leading the points here by a solid 32 to Benjamin O'Shea. Ethan Hamlet rounding out the top 3 there. I don't think we have any drop rounds applied at this point yet, though, which I think will change this makeup and the gap that Jaden Ledbetter has simply by showing up to all of these, I think, at least a little bit for the time being. Gian Cardoso also being only 8 points behind Ethan Hamlet, I think is pretty fantastic, and I think Nathaniel Baker only being a point behind them for the top 5 is going to make for a tight battle for these top 3 podium spots in this championship moving on forward. Luke Patrick, Michael Lively, Jack Wilkins, Alex Velasco, and Damon Mitchell rounding out the top 10. I believe we have an 11th and 12th, Bartosz Pisecki, as well as Mike Bowen for those 12 drivers. Any of those that are stand out to you one way or the other?
I mean, like you were saying, the current state of the top 5 right now, I think, is making it. Well, I would even go as far as say the top 6. I think are really capable of mixing it up. And depending on how we see kind of like drop rounds apply, I mean, we might even be able to see like Michael Lively or Jack Wilkins kind of start to sneak up into the top 5. So I think you definitely want to pay attention to the top, I would say, 9 cars right now for how this whole field is going to shake out in terms of both the mid-pack and the top 3. So I think there's a lot to watch still left in the season.
I think there certainly is. I think there's some stuff happening behind the graphics that I am a little bit surprised by, and I'm excited to see how that plays out. I think you're very correct. The top 9 all there, I think, will be very fast, and it'd be interesting to see how they all kind of cement themselves in the second half of the season after tonight. But first, LMP3 AM, Paul Milo going to be at the top there. Garrett Hillman in second place with Alan Love rounding out top 3. Another one, I think the drop rounds will be a huge benefit for these drivers moving forward. I think those two, including the tie for 4th right now between Nathaniel Wilkins and Quinn Fenimore, going to be, I think, one to talk about as the season continues. AM championships, I think, are always one of my favorites to personally kind of keep an eye on over the season, and how much these drivers develop and find their pace, keep it moving forward, I think is such a huge part as well. Ryan Blyce, forgive me, Cameron Robertson, Johnny Salata, and then Jake Fulton rounding out that 9-car grid there. Yeah. Thoughts?
Should we switch over to qualifying? Well, I was going to say, Paul Miles has a pretty commanding lead so far. And I think that, I mean, he's really showing really good pace. Garrett Hillman is keeping him honest, though. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out. I know Quinn Fenimore coming down to AM is going to be probably put him in a little bit more position to compete in this like mid-pack and maybe even stick into the top 3. But with that, I was going to say, should we switch over to some qualifying action? Because we do have some cars on track.
I think it is the time to go switch over to qualifying. We'll come back to the rest of the standings here shortly as we get into the race proper. And we have a bit of time between these two to get everything together. Jack Wilkins back out on track. I think he was absent last week and joined us in kind of the commentary or booth side of things. Currently working his way around the beginning of a lap. And we'll hit the onboard, go for a ride on an LMP3. Look out that mailbox slot, as you like to say, for the lap here. It's a fast one, if I'm not mistaken. You're very familiar with this track. You want to talk us through this?
Yes. Yeah, so we went through turn 1, which is a very short kink, and then we go into the Andretti hairpin at turn 2. This one right here at the start of the race, this is going to be a big bunch up point. Going into turn 3 and turn 4, this is another one of those things where the track is very punishing for off tracks. Exiting turn 4 right here, trying to make as straight of a line as possible. Now he's blasting down this quick straightaway before he hits turn 5. Turn 5, very awkward corner for multi-class racing. The slower GT4s staying on the line, people are going to have to be super patient. And here we go. We're going into the kink, and now up Ray Hall straight into the infamous corkscrew on the brakes as he gets ready to dive down. I mean, it's an absolute blind left-hand corner. And then into turn 9 here, just feathering the throttle, moves back over really quick for turn 10 on the brakes, wants to get as close to the apex as possible, but dodges the sausage curb. And then into turn 11, the hairpin, we have seen so much calamity in free practice here. Pushes out wide, and he's going to try and see if he can put a time on the board that's good.
And think there might have been a quick off track there at some point. Nope, it just took its time. But he does hit to the top of the timing towers with a 1:17.843. Looking back, GT3s.
Good time.
Anthony Newman, I think we'll rattle on board with him. He's back for his first race of this season in the GT3 category. We last saw him, I think, with the LMP3 AM Championship last time out. As I look briefly at that offline racing, and we're going to dive back into the onboard here. This lap, a little bit different, but, it's one of those things. The GT3 is such a fun mix of, you kind of see the more curved, almost open wheel style lines that you take through with the LMP3. GT3, you run it a little bit, more traditional, tin top, GT style machinery, but it has the speed to kind of keep up with the LMP3s, except for in the corners where that aerodynamic properties of that LMP3 is going to be its biggest help. You're going to see a little bit in the braking zones as well, especially into this corkscrew, because no real aero, or not as much aero, to keep that car as planted as the LMP3s do. So you got to be a little bit less confident, or more confident and more early on the braking for the corkscrew and the following corners. Turn 10, I think it's going to be an awkward one for GT3s and LMP3s. Both will want to take it at almost about the same speed, but in different manners, which I think will make for such an awkward pairing to try to get the two of them through that corner in particular, along with the hairpin that we've seen a number of cars work their way around. And I always feel like the lap really starts here at the hairpin, the Andretti hairpin, because the kink, you're still flat out through all that 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, it is such an interesting track. And again, the fact that it's got that kind of like old school GT, European GT style kind of vibe in terms of like the punishing off tracks here. And with the sand and stuff on off track here, you lose so much time. I'm just really interested to see how people are going to navigate this, especially as we start to get the GT3s and LMP3s kind of like mixed together in some of these awkward corners. But again, like I was saying before, like when we were getting ready to go into qualifying, like, man, if you can just line up the traffic right and be patient, don't take silly risks, man, there's going to be so many points on offer here. And making this race not one of your drop rounds could make or break a championship.
Yeah, I get the feeling that'll be big for a lot of these drivers and their aspirations here moving forward throughout the back half of the championship. And once we get into, I wonder if that was an off track there for Nick Bowen, currently sitting at the top of GT4 Pro as well as GT4 overall. You can see if I hit whoa, big old lockup there, or not the lockup, but a big old getting loose there is the English thing I was trying to go for. If we hit this breakout, you can see where the LMP or GT Pro 4 Pros and GT4 AM drivers working their way through. You can see the little red dots on all of them for where they are getting off tracks amongst all this as well. A bunch of drivers doing so. Logan Branson finding himself in 4th overall in the category and leading GT4 AM. A pretty strong showing for him, but I think he really likes this track, and it's one of his ones he does well on, from what I recall.
Yeah, Logan has been doing pretty good. In free practice, it looked like he was putting together some really good laps. It does really look like he's got the Porsche really nailed down here. Again, I think the big thing for GT4s is it's going to be really tricky to survive with the faster class cars coming from behind. But again, if people are going to be paying close attention to traffic and trying to leverage their patience as much as possible, I think it's going to pay big dividends. I was just going to say, Ethan Hamlet striking with a 1:16.2, 8/10 faster than Jack.
Yeah, 8 to 9/10. I think the best Jack Wilkins had so far is a 1:17.12. Let me see if I can pull out the actual lap time here. Boop. One of those should work. Yep, that'll do it for us. 1:17.121, a 1:16.225, 0.896 of a second faster for Ethan Hamlet than the rest of the LMP3 field. Ethan Hamlet, no stranger to being quick here in other places. Very fun to hear him get asked on the Wednesday Night League for when he won his second race of that season, whether or not he was excited about being back in Victory Circle, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it," So we'll have to bring him in to see if he's equally as humble in how he talks about his success here.
Yeah. I mean, so I was actually kind of curious what you think, because you actually have a lot more experience in the LMP3 machinery than I do.
Mm-hmm.
The corkscrew. I mean, this thing has a flat floor almost. What is it like with that massive drop off after you hit that left-hander?
It's thankfully pretty mundane. It's just something you got to be a little bit careful of. If you don't line up the car right, you will, because of how flat it is, the low suspension there. It is a prototype machine. It will want to kind of almost bottom out if you get it wrong, but it takes a lot to really hit that point. You have to be going already pretty well off the line you should be to fully get it to where it'll stop being a responsive machine. Now, you might bump the floor a little bit in the process, depending on how you go through it, and it's not. But largely, I've not had an issue in the few times that I've driven an LMP3 here at Laguna Seca, or a prototype in general, for that matter, because the LMP2, not too much different in terms of its floor height from the tarmac that it rides over. And I would say equally as long as you don't, really send it too deeply in there and you get the rotation right, you usually come through without much issue.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it's to me, it's just crazy because especially, I mean, this is a track that's very difficult for the GT3 machinery to not lock up in certain sections of the track. I think it's almost exacerbated by the LMP3s. Like we were watching right now, we're on board with Michael Lively. He locked the front left up on the descent down because, again, it's one of those things where the position of the car on the track, it creates this like uneven surface, and then it's very easy to lock up one of the tires.
It very much so. That's, I think, the more thing to keep an eye on is tire management, especially for these drivers as they keep on working through, and the ability to make sure that they don't lock up tires too frequently and then overheat them, which means that they'll lose some grip and lose some time or have a spin as a result. Saw a bunch of that early on in another broadcast that had some fun prototypes in it, and that was a little bit hectic after a little while when the tires just started giving out for a few of the drivers after an hour of racing. So be fun to keep in mind for these drivers, but I think with the fact that we have some good fuel limitations and when they want to take some opportunities there, we will have to see how it all pans out. Right? That makes sense.
I was gonna say real quick before we get to the grid, although actually they're gridding up pretty quick, so we might not have time for points, but I was just kind of curious if we could run through GT3 real quick.
Oh, for GT3 points, I think we can make it happen real fast.
Yeah.
And then we'll hit the GT4s in between the heat and the feature. GT3, Turville going to be leading them off 4 points ahead of Gab Chavez, who is on pole position this time. And then Tanner Schiffner is going to round out that podium. Tommy Kogan and Kyle Potter in the top 5. only 25 points between the leader and P5, and only a few points between most of these drivers. And I think the drop rounds will just tighten that up. Chris Turner, Andrew Mathias, Ryan Buchanan, Matt Pyle, and Mark Coyne in the top 10. Thoughts on these guys before we move on? Because we have a good number of GT3s in this field.
I mean, he's not represented right here, right now, but I do want to mention that in qualifying order right now, Anthony Newman qualified 3rd overall in GT3.
Nice.
So while he's not on the standings here, watch out because it seems like he's got the car put together.
Very good. We'll have to keep an eye on that when we do our grid order here in just a moment's time as well. Robert Lewis, Christopher Blue, Herbert Pineda, Paul York, and Ryan Nolan being the top 15. More of a gap here. I'm curious to see how these drivers fight amongst each other for these spots and see if they can break into the top 10. Austin Green, Eduardo Zamora, Stephen McLean, Malcolm Coates, as well as Joey Militi. I'm going to probably butcher that a little bit. With Ian Southern and Anthony Newman. Speaking of Anthony Newman, he is actually on the grid here, just all the way down to the bottom because this is his first race with us this season. We'll round out the 22 cars in GT3. Any other thoughts there before we dive into a grid and get this show underway for our heat race of tonight?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say let's just get into it.
Then we shall indeed. Gridding is going to be coming to an end here, but Ethan Hamlet's going to be leading off the charge in LMP3 Pro. I might just burn through this. And with Jack Wilkins alongside, Michael Lively's going to be in 3rd with Jaden Ledbetter back in 4th. Though pretty much everybody is about in a pretty close battle with each other outside of Ethan Hamlet, who set a whole half a second lap, or pretty most of a second of a lap faster than Jack Wilkins, then a second faster than everyone else in LMP3. So Luke Patrick, Benjamin O'Shea going to be in 5th and 6th. Gian Cardoso and Jake Fulton going to round out the top 8. Jake Fulton leading off the LMP3 AM category this afternoon with being P8 overall. This is where I hit the button to scroll. Hopefully it does the thing correctly. I think it goes too far. Nice. Obviously, that would be what it wants to do. 9th is going to be Paul Miles with Cameron Robertson going to be in 10th. Alan Love, Alex Velasco, Nathaniel Baker, and Ryan Blythe all join in late. Don't get a lap time in just yet for that, having off tracks in all of those moments, being our 13-car LMP3 grid in total with approximately, I believe, 7 pros and 5 AMs there. GT3, our biggest category. Gab Chavez alongside Tanner Schiffner for that front row. Anthony Newman going to be in 3rd. We just talked about him. Interesting to see how consistent he can keep that car for that offline racing. Tyler Torville going to be in 4th there. 5th is going to be Robert Lewis with Andrew Mathias going to be in 6th. Austin Green and Ryan Buchanan rounding out that 4th row of the grid, with Stephen McLean alongside Christopher Blue for 9th and 10th. Chris Turner alongside Paul York for 11th and 12th. 13th is going to be Paul Mile. 14th is going to be Tommy Kogan with Eduardo Zamora and Joseph Militi going to be 15th and 16th. 17th, we get into the last 3 drivers who did not set a time. Herbert Pineda, Kyle Potter, Ryan Nolan. We then get into GT4s. It's going to be the likes of Nick Bowen, Scott Fleming, Henry Garcia, Jake Hewitt, Corey Lobner, Lee Wu, going to be around that first 3 rows of the grid. Logan Branson alongside Sean Sullivan and William Lewis for that podium of GT4 AM, excuse me, yes. Colin Johnson going to be alongside Colin Johnson, then Tim Mello, Levi Powell, Andrew Seelig, Jonathan Barrett, Sophie Bozeman, David Schneider, Sean Harvey, Drew Friedman, Adrian Mirzak, and John Newman rounding out the 20-car GT4 grid just in time for the GT or LMP3s to get going. That's a great
Sir, that was masterful. I just want to say that.
We got there.
Can we get a shout out in chat for that?
But let's busy talk about the 3 wide going into turn number 2 with both Luke Patrick and Jane Ledbetter trying to get alongside Jack Wilkins. Jack Wilkins going to be able to hold on to that position there. Benjamin O'Shea going to be working his way up the order. Luke Patrick getting the better run between some of those drivers to end up 2 positions.
What about those GT3s?
Gosh, that is going to be the question. They are getting through the same Andretti hairpin just behind them. All of them, I think, mostly working through the couple corners here. We're in Blimcam because we're working with what we have here. And then Nick Bowen going to be having a fantastic launch ahead of Scott Fleming, Jake Hewitt, as well as Henry Garcia going to be going too wide through the Andretti hairpin for the first time. And we also have likes of, I believe, that is going to be some GT3 traffic.
That's a GT3 Porsche
getting out. Andrew Mathias. Okay, yep, that is Andrew Mathias amongst all of those cars, which has been labeled down at the bottom of Classical. Great, awesome. Don't know why it all reset in the middle of me working on that, but hey, whatever. So that's going to be that. We got through the first couple corners okay. Ethan Hamlet already running away with it as we get through lap number 1. Jack Wilkins not far behind, as well as the rest of the LMP3 field. Luke Patrick holding on to the position he picked up there. I believe we had a couple of them fall down a little ways. Nathaniel Baker, I believe, one of the drivers, down a good number of positions from where he started. Huge moment there for
most of the field.
Cameron Robertson. No, sorry, I just wanted to comment. Cameron Robertson, that car looks so scary sometimes. And that's gonna be an off track. What'd you have?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, largely it looks like the start of the lap relatively clean. Some off tracks, but by and large, don't see a lot in the way of collisions. Right now, everybody seems to be keeping it clean, but now we're going to see kind of how things shake out as everybody's going to kind of dig in and try and assert themselves and get some positions.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a bit of a busy few weeks. Ryan Nolan with a black flag penalty amongst all that. I think that's going to be for a failure to serve a slowdown penalty is going to be my guess. Taking a look back at Drew Friedman, who's kind of chasing along with Sophie Bozeman to see if he can catch up to Andrew Seelig, working with the sister class of GT4 Pro to work out with the getting into GT4 AM, as we have the continuation of things. Do I still have you, Phil?
Yeah. I got disconnected for a brief second, but
okay,
I'm back.
Cool, great. Jaden Ledbetter having a moment here. Let's see if I can find out what happened, because he gets passed by a whole host of LMP3 drivers. Where is this at? I thought I saw it, because this might have been a little while ago, but yeah, Jaden Ledbetter having a moment here because he's down now in P7 overall, P6 in class with only Jake Fulton right ahead of him, and Nathaniel Baker right behind him trying to hang on and try to take the fight back.
Yeah, things are wild right now. It is really frantic right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did want to comment, fastest lap right now actually is Jack Wilkins with a 17.64. That might be deceptive with Ethan Hamlet registering a 16.
That's got to be scary. Registering as a 16?
Yeah, no, it looks like Robert Lewis gets turned around. We want to see how this works out, see if he can get the car turned around. Hopefully that's not damaged.
Let's see what happened here. This is where he goes off track. I think he just
there?
has a little bit too much rotation. Yeah. Snap of oversteer.
Oh, it just snapped on him. Oh, no.
Catches it, though. And it looks like that left side, that right side's going to be a little upset. But otherwise, keeps it out of harm's way.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if he's going to try and limp it back to the pits or not. This is the heat race, so we are going to be setting the grid from that. So depending on kind of what Robert Lewis is going to try to, it's so broken, he's going to try and park it. So I suspect he's probably either going to come back out and just try and at least gather some positions, or he's probably going to try and see if he can just wait this out for the next race. But that's unfortunate. But that'll just set spot for the feature race. So there's still an opportunity for some points recovery. That car almost went off track. Nathaniel Baker is letting it all hang out. And I'm telling you right now, it really does seem like it's wild right now. It is wild.
It is a busy track. 53 cars out on track between all three classes, all five classes when you include the divisions of LMP3 Pro and AM and GT4 Pro and AM. And the first bit of multi-class traffic for a lot of these drivers as they get through the tail end of the traffic that had a couple of issues early on. Started from pit lane, I believe, for a couple of these drivers and a couple of spins amongst them as well, as we were working their way through. AJ Marzak looking to kind of almost set a baseline of a good points drop round, as Luke Patrick and Jack Wilkins are currently getting closed down. Jaden Ledbetter, I think, is caught to Jake Fulton. Excuse me. We got Jack's, we got Jake's, we got Jaden's. And we're going to try to keep them all.
We've got the corner on the letter J. Yeah. Like, if you have the letter J and you like multi-class racing, you should really consider joining the league.
Yeah, if you haven't already, you should consider joining the league. These three all now within a couple seconds there. Nathaniel Baker having the briefest moment of contact, thankfully keeps it from becoming an incident or an issue. But we'll see. Oh, man, Jaden's going to look around the outside to try to get this pass done.
Into turn 5. This is where I was talking about before, where things are going to get really awkward, especially on corner exit. Look at that. Look at the Mustang getting
Drew
split
Friedman
down the middle.
Is that Mustang, and he is thankful to be out of the kind of crossfire amongst all that before the kink. Some other drivers, I think.
Oh. What's about to happen in the corkscrew? Oh, man. See, that's the thing. It is just so wild. Oh, man. He gets caught out in kind of like a funny spot, and Jaden just manages to lose a little bit of time in the traffic, and now he's moving his way through.
Yeah, but we have, I think, equally the same problem up ahead. All three of these drivers for LMP3 equally under a blanket trying to get through the last bit of GT4 traffic. Not the last bit, but the main bulk of GT4 traffic. A few drivers up ahead working its way through. Tommy Kogan, that's not a good place to be. That is going to be the outside of the kink. What happens here to cause Tommy to go off track? Let's take a quick look. Was this self-imposed?
Oh, yeah. He lost the rear end on corner entry, and he's just carrying too much speed into the wall.
Yep. And that is going to be a very sad suspension. That's going to be an unfortunate bit of damage there, but thankfully able to kind of reset coming for the feature race here in a little ways time. Can I show you this train of GT3 traffic? Because we are.
I know. It's crazy. It is crazy. They're like really keeping it very tight in this race. And Joey Melitti right now really putting in some good laps right now. Currently in front of Kyle Potter, showing what the Corvette machine can do. Kyle Potter no slouch, though, to GT3 racing as he gets really close on the exit of turn 3 into turn 4 on the brakes. Oh, man. Was that a touch?
I don't think so.
That looked like that could have been a touch.
It definitely could have been. I think it thankfully was just shy of one. But you could see the whole train of cars driving behind these two. If I dive back to the Porsche of Kyle Potter and we right along the bumper there, you can see just the snake of them working their way through the kink on this lap. Pretty much everybody from P6 in class all the way down to P16 really separated only by, I think, about 3 or 4 seconds for that bulk of that cars, especially when you look at Paul York, who's going to be kind of the new leader of that. The two of them coming and going up at the front end of that. Benjamin O'Shea. Oh, Benjamin O'Shea, what happened here? He found himself off track.
I wonder if he had a bit of... I wonder if there was some snap oversteer, just kind of like similar to what we saw with Robert Lewis, but it looks like...
Oh, no, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
You had it right on the nail.
Yeah, yep. Shockingly, turn 3 out here claiming souls. I thought it would be turn 5. I thought it would be turn 5, and I thought it would be traffic related, but this is really surprising to see people are really pushing it into turn 3, and it is it's punishing.
Yeah, it's only claiming names, at least today. Ethan Hamlet, by the way, 12 seconds ahead of Jack Wilkins.
Yeah, he is currently flying.
On a race of his own. Oh, man, these cars all getting, I think, a little bit bottled up behind Joey Melitti at this point. Steve McLean in the Lamborghini, that Ace Motorsports Lamborghini at the tail end of this pack. Just going to ride on the roof of this cam, see the other end of this train of cars. We kind of come back to it every now and then. Just such a fun...
Man,
oh, look at that.
It's such a crazy angle, too, when you're going into the corkscrew, because it's like he turns left and the track just kind of almost vanishes. It's almost like you're not... Kyle Potter off track, but he's going to be able to save it and get back on track. He's not going to lose too many spots. Oh, wow, they were super close. I thought that Ferrari was about to die.
Yeah, that Ferrari. And Kyle Potter says, well, you guys leaned a little bit on it. I'm going to come back in here and rejoin this party.
So into Andretti. What is Steve McLean going to do? Kyle Potter's going to have that inside line, which is where you're going to want to be. Also, it sets him up nicely for turn 3. We got some GT4 traffic. I believe that's Adrian Maruzek in the mix. More GT4 action here. Jake Hewitt.
Scott Fleming. Two drivers working out the battle between the two of them. Scott Fleming having the run out of the kink, but getting passed because of the draft by Jake Hewitt going into the corkscrew and being later on the brakes. But these two battling out for the bottom 2 steps of the GT4 Pro podium. And amongst, big moment there. Good catch out of those drivers to keep that car from becoming an issue. Kevin Robertson having an issue as well, but the likes of
Oh my goodness.
Tyler Tourville, Tanner Schiffner, as well as Gab Chavez right up there, all within a few tenths of each other. Lap traffic. Both Michael Lively and Cameron Robertson trying to pass these cars for overall positions. This is not for lap traffic like we'll see later. Logan Branson.
Man, he was lined up, and here's the thing: I just don't think that he expected Steve McLean to close that fast, and he was getting ready to take the turn. That was just, but still, between everybody, like really, really quick thinking, and it looks like everybody made it out okay. Steve McLean lining up with the LMP3s now. Oh my goodness!
We're going
to the kink, man.
Oh boy, we
side by side into this corner if you dare.
Oh, okay, all right. We have survived. Tyler Tourville gonna lean on the door there.
Look at this dive! Look at this dive, bro.
Gets it sorted out. That is gonna be,
man,
I believe, Colin Johnson in that Porsche Cayman GT4. And this GT4 field kind of spread out a little bit. The GT3 field in pockets, same with the LMP3 field. A couple of pockets, however, like we talked about earlier, with now Henry Garcia catching up to Scott Fleming. And Jake Hewitt not really running too far from Scott Fleming either. So these three, a Mercedes and two Porsches. We are halfway through this, by the way.
Yeah, I know. We have less than 8 minutes, and it feels like I've already been talking about this race for a week. The thing I'll say is, man, so talking about just like the leaders in the relative categories, Ethan Hamlet just streaking off into the distance right now, almost 12 and a half seconds. Looking at GT3s, Gab Chavez has almost got a 3-second gap on Tanner Schiffner, so still in touch with this traffic. Anything could happen. Nick Bowen, almost 4 seconds on Jake Hewitt. Again, another one of those that like anything could really happen here. And then there is a massive pocket between Sean Sullivan and Logan Branson for the top 2 spots in GT4 AM.
Yeah, look at that gap. I think separated only by a GT3 right now, who is trying to work his way back through traffic. That's Tommy Kogan, who had a bit of an issue early on in the kink. But that is going to be such a big jump between Jonathan Barrett and Logan Branson for the other 2 spots of that podium. And then
Jonathan Barrett, you say?
Yeah, Jonathan Barrett.
Jonathan Barrett, you say?
Yeah, right there. That guy.
What a livery, right?
I haven't looked too closely at it. I'm not sure I want to. I've heard things.
Oh, I'm sure it's safe for television.
Okay. That is Kyle Potter. Oh,
let's
boy.
Go. Oh, we got cars breaking.
That is
we got
Eduardo
cars breaking.
Zamora.
We got parts.
Okay, Kyle Potter, Eduardo Zamora, David Schneider all go off track almost concurrently. See if David Schneider is involved in this or if this is a separate one. Looks to be separate initially. Keeps it out of harm's way. Okay.
So Schneider, yeah.
That's a separate incident.
So he's got to get back up to speed now.
Separate incident. These two right in front of the individual. Talk about, oh my gosh, tips Eduardo Zamora out wide. And then both those drivers go flying off. Eduardo Zamora has a bit of contact there, pulls it into pit lane here. You'll see him take the hard left to keep on that entry point. And then Cal Potter's going to push out Ethan Hamlet wide, who catches it thankfully amongst all that. And
so I think there's a red mist in the air, if I had to guess.
Maybe a little bit for some of these drivers, for sure. Taking a look.
This is crazy, man.
Here, let's
less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes. Breaking down not the LMP3 Pro Am category. If you open it up to see the difference, Paul Miles 2.5 seconds ahead of Ryan Blyce with a couple cars between the two of them. And Alan Love 8 seconds behind those two drivers. Luke Patrick, Jack Wilkins, Gian Cardoso, and Jaden Ledbetter both in duels between each other. Let's look here. His multi-class traffic is just
goodness
in front of them, and it is just a matter of trying to sort it out without causing problems. This is so busy.
It really is. I think the one thing I will say is that, man, it's only a 70-minute feature.
Oh, boy.
That is a broken car.
That is a broken car. The question is...
Who is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Hold on. I'm not going back far enough. Keep on trying. That is going to be the likes of Ryan Nolan.
Ryan Nolan's
Finally
car just busted. Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. The Mercedes just parked on the side.
A rough day for
What
Ryan
happened?
Nolan. We'll find out here.
Was it just some snap oversteer?
Yeah, just a little bit too much acceleration, and then just the front end making consistent contact with that tire barrier has brought it to
Unfortunate, man.
pit lane once again. Kevin Robertson fighting for overall position here. I was looking at that relative. Finally, 17 minutes later, it has come from being incredibly busy to dead quiet in the LMP3 category. All those battles separated by a second as GT4 and GT3 traffic continue to be I wouldn't quite say a thorn, but definitely the talking point for these drivers. Chris Turner trying to catch up and keep up with Paul York, who is kindly letting some GT4 drivers know that there are GT3s, and the leader of LMP3 coming in. And
deploy the disco lights, and here we go.
Yeah, Ethan
GT3's going through. Ethan looks like he's being super patient about it.
Well, he has still 6 seconds to Jack Wilkins and nothing but time, and has no desire to lose more than the 6 seconds. So willing to be as patient as he needs to be to let all this work itself out.
Yeah.
He's gonna lose a fair bit of time in the process, however.
Yeah, that was a huge chunk of time that he just lost, but at the same time too, he survived.
Yes, I think that's the goal there.
I think that's going to be the big. I think that's going to be the big thing here. Tanner Schiffner currently in front of Stephen McLean. Paul York lost ground to Chris Turner, but he's staying close. Ethan Hamlet's still kind of like lurking in the background, trying to figure out when he's going to pull the trigger and try and sneak around. I'm expecting he's probably going to do it around the hairpin. Yeah, he stays behind Paul York. He's not wanting to risk anything at all. And here goes the acceleration, and there goes Ethan Hamlet. Paul York, I think, might have given a lift. I think he might have been like, you know what, I'm going to let him go.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, oh my goodness.
Yep. As soon as it ebbs, it then flows. Jaden Ledbetter back to half a second to Gian Cardoso. Gian Cardoso frantically trying to get around traffic to keep ahead of Jaden Ledbetter. I think they're doing a very successful job at it in the process. And Tanner Schiffner, Tyler Trovell still in the battle. I think we have a few more floating around. I was kind of seeing how this one was staying, if Jaden was going to continue to make ground and go for the move.
Yep, definitely close racing between Gian and Jaden Ledbetter right now. Is the tide coming in? And do we have an appearance of Black Flag Ledbetter? Let's find out.
Nope. He is forced to go wide as a result of the defensive line out of Gian Cardoso, and that's going to keep him behind for the moment. See how they get through the kink. Both making the look around Lee Wu in that yellow GT4 Pro machine, who's currently sitting in 5th overall in that GT4 category, as well as in 5th in GT4 Pro. Taking a quick look further back. LMP3 Pro sees Alan Love and Ryan Blyce was within a second of each other before a little bit of traffic, and is going to come back in, I think, especially as that is Alan Love in the wall. What just happened there? Hold on, let's take a look back.
I believe you have white flag conditions as well,
sir. Yes, I do. And we are on to the final lap amongst all this craziness and chaos. Oh, just gets pushed out wide by Drew Friedman, who was not, I think, expecting that car to be there. And that gave Drew Friedman a meatball.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Both of them towards the end of the race. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, but I think Ethan Hamlet has the white flag this time by. I don't have a good eyeball on the flag, man, so I'll take your word for it.
Yep. He's got a
few more
70% of the lap done, and he's just got to navigate these 2 more corners and not get caught up in some GT shenanigans. Although, oh man, John Newman, I had palpitations. And here we go. We got the checkered flag waving for Ethan Hamlet, as he comes across the line, I do believe that is if that is Tommy Kogan in front, he's going to have to take another lap. But Ethan Hamlet's going to come away with the win here.
Yeah, Tommy Hogan gets the finish, I think, only a couple laps down. Gian Cardoso going to get passed by Jaden Ledbetter in the closing stages here. Is going to try to keep Nathaniel Baker, who has a big moment of trying not to get too much gravel on there. So Gian Cardoso is going to hold on to fifth as a result of that fight. Meanwhile, Jack Wilkins, Luke Patrick rounding out that LMP3 podium. Gab Chavez currently still fighting for the lead in the GT3 Pro, or GT3, nothing's no Pro-Am there, GT3 category. We'll see a lot of these drivers work their way through the final couple corners. Paul York with a meatball flag amongst all of that. I wonder where that plays into this. We'll take a look here in a little bit. The GT4 Pro category, Nick Bowen, Scott Fleming, Henry Garcia, that podium being secured. Sean Sullivan coming on with the leader in GT4 AM amongst all this as well.
What a crazy heat race. Now, that said, I do want to say that I expected far more carnage than that. It was very frantic. There was a lot going on, but I seriously expected the cars to come together way more than they did.
Yeah, I did too.
So, I mean, heads on a swivel, it was wild.
What happens to Paul York here in the closing stages? I'm super curious. This is the hairpin. Well, thanks, SDK. I have to go find myself.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right. Let's see here if I can find it. Closing laps here for this driver with a meatball flag. Just going to keep on with a little bit of fast forward here. We'll take a look at the results as well for that heat race when we get ready for it.
Yeah.
Take a look.
That's
this is into
crazy.
The corkscrew. Was fine up until the hairpin. What happens?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Really weird.
Hairpin. Oh, is there a tip? No?
Everything looks fine.
All right, well.
Everything looks perfectly okay. We come across the line.
Maybe we missed a lap. There's Corey Lobner, who we didn't talk about at all in this race, having a pretty, I would say at least pretty solid and stable heat race. So, yeah, I don't know either. We'll figure it out from there. We'll take a quick look at the results. We'll go through over your GT4 standings. To start, however, with the results, we're going to start with the LMP3 Pro results. Ethan Hamlet going to come home the winner of that heat race, 5 seconds ahead of Jack Wilkins, who comes home a second and a half ahead of Luke Patrick. Jaden Ledbetter, 20 seconds behind the leader and a solid 12 seconds behind P3. So take home that P4, not victory. P5 is going to be Gian Cardoso, who holds on to that ahead of Nathaniel Baker, Benjamin O'Shea, Alex Velasco, and Michael Lively going to be the 9-car LMP3 Pro Grid. LMP3 AM. Phil, how are they doing?
Yeah, so Paul Miles, almost 10 seconds on Ryan Blyce. Big pocket right there between Paul Miles and Ryan Blyce. And Paul Miles was kind of trying to manage the traffic with the other LMP3 Pro runners. So came out with a pretty good result. And then we got your top 5 right there. Paul Miles, Ryan Blyce, Jake Fulton, Alan Love, and Cameron Robertson. So good on them for finishing a tough race. Traffic management was pretty big deal for LMP3s.
It certainly was. I think it's going to be no different in that feature race. GT3's Gab Chavez going to come home the winner. A fantastic run for him. Tyler Tourville trying to keep him honest, though. Tanner Schiffner, Anthony Newman going to round out that top 4 with Ryan Buchanan in 5th there. Rest of these drivers all pretty much had some incident in one form or another. Joseph Militi is going to come home in 6th. Chris Turner in 7th. Kyle Potter, Christopher Blue, and Herbert Pineda, the top 10 of our, I believe, 19-car grid. Andrew Mathias is going to be in 11th. Austin Green, Stephen McLean, Matt Pyle, and Tommy Kogan, the top 15, with Paul York, Robert Lewis, and Eduardo Zamora finishing many laps down, as well as Ryan Nolan being the 19th and last car in GT3. This one was very cool to see. I think they are going to be, like we talked about with the LMP3, traffic management going to be huge there for those drivers as well. GT4 Pro and Am. We have to get into this pretty quickly because I think we're gridding for the feature race here. Do you want to kick us away?
Nick Bowen. Nick Bowen, 7 seconds ahead of Scott Fleming. Henry Garcia rounds out the top 3. Jake Hewitt keeping in touch with Lee Woo, setting the fastest lap in GT4. Followed by Corey Lobner, Tim Mello, Colin Johnson for 6, 7, and 8. Levi Powell, Sophie Bozeman. And I believe we have maybe some more, or that may be it for them.
For our GT4 pros.
Yep.
GT4 AM is also going to see the likes of Sean Sullivan come home 7 seconds ahead of Logan Branson. A fantastically consistent result there. William Lewis rounding out that podium. Jonathan Barrett and Sean Harvey, the top 5. Andrew Seelig, David Schneider, Adrian Marozak, John Newman, and Drew Friedman, the top 10. I think we do have a couple more in here. Nope, we also got 10 in that category too. Sweet. Perfect. That is going to be all 10 of those drivers as well. Gridding
That's effectively your grid for the race too.
Yep, complete. So we will go through GT4 points real fast. If I can do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
GT4 Pro, Jake Hewitt, Nick Bowen, Scott Fleming, Henry Garcia, Corey Lobner, the top 5. All those top 4 separated by only 19 points. And I think very close when you included some drop rounds of that. Colin Johnson, Tim Mello, Levi Powell, Sophie Bozeman, and Lee Woo, the top 10, with Stephen Wallace in 11th there with exactly 1 point. Any big thoughts here for this one?
Top four, I think, is going to be a heck of a show. To be honest, I really think top 5 too. And then for the mid pack, I really think we're watching that battle between Colin Johnson, Tim Mello, Levi Powell. I think they could potentially, and Sophie Bozeman's not out of it too. So I think the mid pack still's got some time to shake up, but that top 4 battle is going to be wild.
I would have to agree. GT4 AM, Sean Sullivan, Sean Harvey, Adrian Marozak, and Logan Branson with William Lewis. Also including Andrew Seelig, John Newman. Top 7, all within that point gap that we kind of were talking about for the top 4 of GT4 Pro. 19 points between these drivers. Anything I think is still possible for most of them to have a solid shot at this championship podium by the end of the rest of the weeks that we have in this calendar. But I would also not count out the likes of Drew Friedman, David Schneider, who are only 30 points behind. A couple of good drop rounds for them. A couple of less good drop rounds for others. We'll see them shoot up the order. Zaxton Hillman in 10th. I have a feeling he can do some good there. Jonathan Barrett and Joseph Savage rounding out that 12-car championship standings. This is going to be one I think we're going to once again see go down to the very last round.
Yeah, I think, I think top 9. It's so crazy. GT4 AM kind of back to being the hottest show, I think, of the season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out. I mean, when you got 9 drivers that close, things are definitely going to shake up.
I think so too. It's going to be, I think, a very busy one. And that's why I think we see so much of the fighting between those drivers here tonight. And we've got 70 minutes coming up here very shortly. We've seen them drive around the track here while we've been talking about points. We talked about the grid. We talked about the results. That's the grid for this one. I'm not going through the ones in this short of a time frame. You got it already once tonight. Ethan Hamlet is going to lead these drivers away with a pretty solid start here. He takes off. The rest of the field does the same. Luke Patrick, I think maybe the slowest of the top 4. Jaden Levitt is going to look for an outside line into the top couple of corners here, but Luke Patrick is going to have a good defense. Same with Gian Cardoso and Nathaniel Baker. We'll see how these drivers work it out, but a big lockup out of Luke Patrick is going to see it maybe come back in that direction. Gab Chavez also having a fantastic launch in GT3. The rest of the field kind of working their way around pretty successfully as well. Nick Bowen, Scott Fleming, as well as that GT4 field all piling into turn number 1. That kink before we get into the Andretti hairpin. I get the feeling this is one where we might see a little bit of chaos happening and unfolding there at the beginning. The answer so far is no.
Yeah, everybody's trying to keep their nose clean. The feature race is going to be a big deal. You're really going to want to try and minimize the amount of time that you're in the pits for repairs here. Again, short lap track, you're going to be punished heavily for off tracks and for accidents. But they do have 2 fast repairs. And I do think with the 70-minute, we are still looking at probably a 2-stop. Someone might be able to squeak out the 1-stopper, but we're gonna see how it all shakes out, though.
I think it's gonna be pretty hard for that to happen. Oh my gosh, a big moment there for Gian Cardoso. I think that was
Gian.
Yeah, Benjamin O'Shea also labeled amongst that. I wonder if it was just a slowdown for him though. See what happens when we get in here. We're going into turn number 10. I believe so. Then we get into the hairpin. There is a big look for Benjamin O'Shea, and that's going to cause a little bit of a tip there, but he gets straightened out, but not before it causes a little bit of a bottleneck. And they're able to get it sorted out, but that upends most of that field.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think that was ambitious, but at the same time too, like I think a little bit of understeer from Benjamin and Gian trying to take the corner and actually get through it. I think that's what kind of might have caused the mix up there.
Yeah, I think so. But they all seem to try, live to talk about it at least for a little while longer. Tanner Schiffner pushed out wide by Anthony Newman amongst all that, and that's going to give Ryan Buchanan a great run into turn number 5. And these battle for positions as we get early on in the stage. Tanner Schiffner looking for the response. Knows that it's maybe not the wisest idea to take too wide through the first couple of corners. Heck of, once again, the trains of cars coming through here. I think we're going to enjoy them while they last. Great number of cars, all within, I would say, a very close gap of them. Tyler Tourville keeping Gab Chavez up at the top. Anthony Newman kind of the head of the rest of the pack. Kyle Potter once again finding himself out wide. Rejoins right in front of Herbert Pineda, who gets around him. Stephen McLean also going to be able to pass him. Tommy Cogan going to be out wide as a result of Kyle Potter getting back up to speed. He's going to filter in there with Pat Pyle and Ryan Nolan right behind them for the rest of the GT3 field. Meanwhile, three-way fight involving Sean Sullivan to a lesser degree right behind them as they all battle for the other spots of the podium, the final spot of the podium, excuse me.
Oh my goodness, what a gaggle of GT4s.
There's so many behind them. Like we ride along here with JQ.
Oh, somebody just got turned around at the hairpin, and that is a very tricky spot to be in.
Yeah, that's going to be William Lewis. Let's see what happened to him real quick. I think we caught the tail end of it. Can't really tell if he just missed the rotation or he got involved with somebody else. I think the answer is tip the nose of his own car, try not to run into the Porsche ahead of him.
I think that was
Jonathan. Yeah.
I think it was Jonathan Barrett. Yeah.
I would agree. John Newman now finding himself on a spin. I think also of his own doing by the looks of it. No label of crash, just a little bit of a spin. And they're working their way through. Lap traffic already working its way through the tail end of the GT4 field as the gap is slowly being built to Jack Wilkins. Jack Wilkins really fighting to keep up with Ethan Hamlet and giving it everything he's got. Luke Patrick fending off Jaden Ledbetter as well as Nathaniel Baker in this three-way fight for P3.
This is crazy. It is absolutely banana bread out here right now.
There is so much going on all of the time. We are getting into the 5-minute mark of our 70 minutes of racing, an hour and 10 in total. For those who don't want to do the easy math, Kyle Potter, labeled as crashed, seems to have got it back together before getting passed by Matt Pyle, and is going to keep trying to take the fight back to that order. So seems to have no harm, no foul. Robert Lewis working his way through the GT4 traffic for the first time.
I think he had a pit lane start. Maybe wanted to try and dodge a little bit of the calamity there, being in the back of the field, but working his way through. Kind of wondering if Robert Lewis is going to try and pull any kind of like pit stop magic to try and see if he can like sneak some strategy magic in there and make up some spots that way. Oh, had to throw on the anchor there because it looked like he might get a Porsche to turn in on him. Manages to stay there. Now he's going to hang around the outside. I think he's taking it gingerly. Yeah. Again, everybody being conservative, trying to make this work.
A great amount of patience as well from Logan Branson, Logan Branson, Tim Mello, and Levi Powell. Sorry, I confused my two yellow Porsches. There we go. Jesus. All of my English is gone today. I've burnt it all out.
It's a lot to track all at once. You're doing great.
Meanwhile, three-way fight slowly become a four-way fight as Michael Lively has slowly caught up to these other three drivers. Well, I say that. Tokyo drifts it through the kink, keeps it out of trouble. Great heads-up driving there. Kyle Potter and Tommy Cogan. What happened? Where's Tommy Cogan? What happened to Tommy
Cogan? Is on track. That is that could be bad. What happened there?
Let's see here. I wonder if there's a look that goes wrong or a spin. look that goes wrong. Kyle Potter bumps Tommy Kogan, spins him out, bumps and runs. I'm sure Tommy probably not super thrilled by that.
Take a look in the data right now because it looks like the field is already starting to stretch out a little bit for your LMP3s. We do have a pocket behind, it looks like Paul Miles right now in front of Cameron Robertson.
Yeah, a bit of a pocket there. Paul Miles, Cameron Robertson, Gian Cardoso, Alex Velasco, all trying to work their way through traffic. As we ride on board, I'm going to take a quick ride on with, look out the mailbox slot of the LMP3. See how this all fans out. You know, you can get the enjoyment of multi-class traffic and some of the fun you get to see out the front window. Gian Cardoso looking for that inside line. Alex Velasco taking the outside line as a result. They're going to end up where they were when they started. And the likes, I believe.
Oh, wow. He had hit the brakes before
the
kink because the LMP3s were coming. I hope he didn't just get collected.
I don't think so. That was Sean Harvey. I think he's still behind him. Oh, gosh.
Wow. I think, to be honest, I think that was that looked worse than it was.
Yep. We were riding along, and I think that's why it looked as bad as it did. But that was a huge checkup from a lot of LMP3 drivers trying to get around GT4 traffic. Sophie Bozeman.
Pretty sure everyone made it through.
I think so. Sophie Bozeman labeled as crashed, but I think just went off track to not get run into. Cameron Robinson amounts. Look at those six LMP3s.
Oh,
a little bit of a
okay. All right.
Hit there. That front end a little bit sad, a little bit unhappy with that crunch that it just got roped into, but otherwise still moving the right direction.
Yeah, and I think with a little bit of aero damage on the car right now, you're definitely going to lose pace relative to your competitors. But the thing is, with the fact that traffic management is such a big issue, like I really feel like that's one of those that if you can stay out, stay out.
Yeah, these 5 LMP3s all still battling for position. Logan Branson, I think, almost muscled out there by Gian Cardoso. I don't think that was intentional, obviously. That's what I saw out of that brief moment. Nick Bowen trying to fight with Jake Hewitt for position as well. Few groups of cars. One we've just been talking about, Paul Miles, Gian Cardoso, Alex Velasco, who's found himself once again taking the the Michael Lively wide line. And that's going to be Ryan Blyce with a broken suspension somewhere for a meatball. How did this happen?
Yeah, that rear right is not facing the correct direction at all.
Oh boy.
Is he about to take it in the Whataburger LMP3? He's going to take it in, hopefully get that fast repair, maybe not have to take anything other than fuel and get back out on track.
I think that's going to be the goal. We'll have to see how it pays off for him. Oh my goodness. All right. LMP3, calm down for the moment as they are all finding their own pace. Ethan Hamlet still only a second and a half away from Jack Wilkins here in the feature. However, look at this chaos that has once again erupted. GT3 is trying to get around the last tail end of GT4 traffic. Adrian Marozak and John Newman trying to not get run over by the likes of Matt Pyle, Ryan Nolan, just so many, Austin Green, Christopher Blue also wrapped up in that mess as they are working their way up the order. In total of, I think, another 7 GT3 cars all within a couple seconds of each other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my goodness. What does that look like on the onboard? We haven't been on onboard in the BMW GT3 yet today. If we look at it from the driver's perspective, it doesn't have the cool shake effects, but bear with me.
I mean, it doesn't have the cool shake effects, but you do get to see how he is sawing on the wheel to try and keep the car going in the right direction. And we got a GT4 stranded off to the right.
Yeah, Dave Schneider, he got that car moving again.
Oh, we're going into the corkscrew with a GT4.
Yep, that's going to be William Lewis.
Yep.
I
think we're going to get through it. Yep.
Oh, man.
So he's got to take the shallow line on the entry into turn 9, but he manages to make it through.
Everybody manages to make it through. So far, so good. This pile of cars all still only a few seconds from each other. Benjamin O'Shea working his way down to pit lane, I think, for a little bit of damage there where he goes off track earlier. take a quick look. I mean, I would take a quick look, but there we go.
While you're doing that, I'm going to give a shout out to some folks.
Yes, please.
We do have some follows today from Messy Orb and Spirit God 28. Thank you so much. Oh, that is a spinning. Oh, and that's going to now. There goes the wing. That's unfortunate.
Well, it's fine on my end, which is the part where I'm like, I don't understand what exactly happened there or why he's coming in. And that's because on my screen, the wing's still there, but on your screen, it isn't. So one of those has to be correct.
Yeah. Yeah. It is one of those moments where the client logic doesn't necessarily like mesh with reality. So for the driver, I suspect that rear wing was gone.
Yeah.
Because he touched the wall just enough to knock it off.
Torville Gab Chavez in a battle for the lead of class. Few tenths separate these two drivers. A battle that has come and gone and come back around again. GT4s, by the by, pretty calm. Exception of Corey Lobner, who's trying to get around Jonathan Barrett at the moment, with Anthony Newman working his way around for the first bit of lap traffic. And that's going to make, I think, for an interesting hairpin coming up here. As Jonathan Barrett has the inside line, Anthony Newman has the better speed. And that may set up Corey Lobner at least for a good run to stick with Jonathan Barrett down the start-finish stretch. Paul Miles joining Benjamin O'Shea in an early pit. Jake Fulton labeled.
Yeah, I wonder if there must have been something that happened there.
Yeah, I'm also curious. I don't see a mention for him.
Yeah, I don't see anything. No, me either.
I wonder if he just has... I don't know.
I mean, we do think the two-stop is going to have to happen. So
yeah,
for a majority of the field. So I think he might be just like, I'm going to take my pit stop now and then just try and sneak it out, especially if he's just going in for fuel and not taking tires.
Yeah.
He's just going to try and run it light and then see if he can get people with the Giga undercut.
That's how you can do it. Man, this battle for essentially fifth in class, as I believe what that nets out to, I think is currently seeing a good number of cars still fighting with each other over these positions. LMP3 also having calmed down just a little bit. Tail end, the GT4 AM drivers still in various battles with each other. William Lewis working to try to catch up to Sean Harvey, who's right in front of him. Ethan Hamlet in that lead. LMP3 trying to figure out how to keep around both those cars. That way he can keep up that gap to Jack Wilkins. I'm going to get all of those J's right and wrong and right again, hopefully. But Jack Wilkins getting a slow run through there, giving him a cause for being a little bit losing time, I should say, to Ethan Hamlet here amongst all of this. And as I say things, Ryan Nolan.
All looks good right now. I mean, the field is starting to stretch out now. I really think strategy is going to start to come into play here, but I think those pockets that we need to pay attention to, that battle between Ryan Duquesne, Tanner Schiffner. Right now, Paul Miles trying to move through some of the GT3 traffic now to get back on, to get a little bit closer. It looks like Ryan Blyce not that far back. I think we're talking pretty close battle with them as well, both them taking the early pit stop.
Yeah, both of them taking the early pit stop now in a close battle with them each other, as well as GT3s that they're trying to work their way through again. The GT3 field still pretty close up. There's a few duels in LMP3 AM at this point. This being one of them. The battle between Alan Love and Jake Fulton also, I think, still up for debate in terms of where they want to be at the end of this 70-minute feature. GT4 sees ebbs and flows of battles as traffic helps and hinders each other in that GT4 category across the board, with Scott Fleming's now half a second away from Jake Hewitt. But Jake Hewitt having to figure out how to catch that rest of that distance without letting GT3s that are continuing to work their way through. As you see, where Anthony Newman from third there, trying to find his way through the first time. He's going to push out Jake Hewitt just a little bit. Not enough, I think, to impact too greatly, but enough to get a little bit of a slower line.
So that is the battles are crazy on track right now. I really do feel like traffic management right now is just playing such a huge factor right now. We're 15, 16 minutes into the race. One thing I will say, 16 minutes in the race, Ethan Hamlin is not 10 seconds ahead of Jack Wilkins. Jack Wilkins doing much better this time to keep Ethan Hamlin in touch. Looking at GT3s, GT4s, again, everybody's kind of running a pretty close race in terms of like keeping each other honest.
Yeah, they've definitely done a great job at keeping each other honest. Same is true for, I think, a good portion of the kind of leaders in class. I think the first kind of bigger gap you see for those is going to be, I think, Nick Bowen and Scott Fleming, about 3 seconds there. And GT3 has just been going at it since the start of the race. There has not been, I think, a spot where I've seen not at least one driver a few tenths away from another driver in class for position here. Austin Green, Christopher Blue, 2 tenths away, second away from each other. Herbert Pineda trying to get through multi-class traffic as well, so that brings those gaps really close together. Matt Pyle, Tommy Cogan, Stephen McLean going to swap positions here as Matt Pyle gets a great run out of the Andretti hairpin. With us coming up on 20 minutes into this race, Li Wu is going to get that car back going the right direction, keeps it out of harm's way by kind of running it a little bit offline in order to not have it.
It might be damaged. Like he's moving super slow, and it looks like he's got a busted suspension. Let's see if we can find out what happened.
Let's see. Oh, I wonder if there's a touch there. Just enough. Oh, and then he's going to bump into Ethan Hamlet, who narrowly avoids
Ethan Hamlet's front end?
Yeah. He keeps it together. That front end.
See, that's the thing. I saw Ethan Hamlin's front end come off the car.
I did, and then I saw it reattach is the piece that I'm curious about.
So I'm wondering if Ethan's going to have to pull the trigger here. Li Wu does come back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens here. Is Ethan going to pull the trigger on pit stops? Because, I mean, if he did a fast repair, going with fuel doesn't need to take tires.
Oh, good catch, all things considered, but always frustrating when you lock up the tires like that. Ken Robertson getting that car going back the right direction. Li Wu still working their way around.
Oh, yeah, the car, the suspension is so broken.
Yeah. I think it's got one of the steering is not upset. That front left, I think, is not actually turning.
No, the front right and front left are both broken.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's basically dog-legging it.
Yeah. Oh, Tanner Schiffner making the
look.
Oh my
goodness!
The king.
Oh, and they're bumping. They're bumping.
Ryan Buchanan. Oh, that's gonna push Ryan Buchanan out wide, and he's gonna lose a couple positions here. Oh my gosh! And get run into by Austin Green, who was trying to avoid the situation, gets wrapped up in it, and that's gonna cause Ethan Hamlet to have to try to take evasive action on what I believe is gonna be not Cameron Robertson, the number 12, Paul Miles. The actual driver we're riding along with. Amongst all that and that damage onto that back end, it's going to go Ryan Buchanan to spin out here into the back, and then he's going to tow it.
Unfortunately, I think the splitter being gone. Yeah, Austin Green's going to have a broken suspension. He's going to try and limp it home. He's just trying to get it to the pits, but I think he's going to actually just call it and take it to the pits and maybe get a fast repair, get back out on track. Yeah. Again, this is one where I feel like attrition is going to be a very big deal. So I'm really thinking that, folks that can like just get back out on track, just try and put some laps down, like there's going to be points. Again, depending on how the races go. I mean, we still got Detroit coming up, which is going to be an absolute. I don't know how to put into words what Detroit's going to be. But the thing is that we definitely still got a few races where it could result in people having a drop round or two.
Yeah.
So trying to farm points in some of these more challenging races. Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those ones where people that kind of like work to get their car to the end of the race are going to be rewarded. And man, that was so close for Jack.
Chris Turner not letting him have it easy amongst all that.
Yeah. I think in that instance, it's just the fact that it's like trying to hold his line as best he can. And if the LMP3 can make it around, it's tough though. It's just tough. Yeah. It's tough. It's like, it's expectations. It's like, are you going to let me go? Are you not going to let me go? Are you holding the line? Are you about to turn in? It's just really hard. I mean, it's, again, everybody's just trying to predict what the other cars are going to do, and it's gonna go right sometimes, and it's gonna go wrong others.
Oh man, it so is, and we're seeing the widest dichotomy of that. I'm trying to keep up with everything that's kind of going on here. Paul Miles trying to work around these two cars, bumps into Christopher Blue, who was trying to keep that car on track and not get it too banged up, and Chris Turner right ahead of him. So they're battling out for position here. Andrew Mathias, I think, trying to keep ahead of Benjamin O'Shea. Paul Miles finds himself out in the gravel, but keeps it out of the wall. Lovely to see there.
Oh, was that just a lockup? I think that was that just a lockup?
Yeah, I believe
from Paul Miles.
Yeah,
I think he
so.
just kind of missed his braking marker. Maybe
I believe so. We can go back and look at it real quick. I think it's just he missed his braking marker, trying to keep on going. Yeah, just super misses that braking marker. You see how fast he's going into that corner. I'm surprised it didn't make contact with the wall there, but he did an expert job getting that car going back the right direction. Oh,
craziness abound. 22 minutes in, we are probably getting closer to when we would start to see some scheduled pit stops. We have seen some people take the Giga undercut, but still waiting to see some other cars go in for the pit cycle. Jaden Ledbetter right here trying to hold off Michael Lively, it looks like.
Yeah, Michael Lively been kind of on a tear. Oh my gosh, so late on the brakes. About half a second faster for the past few laps than Jaden Ledbetter and Nathaniel Baker. So he made the look on Nathaniel Baker a few laps ago, made the pass, got it done. Now he's trying to bring the fight to Jaden Ledbetter, and I think it's just setting fast lap times, trying to figure out where he can find the opportunity to make this pass and get it done. And Jaden Ledbetter, in classic Jaden style, just keeping that car as wide as he possibly can. And so far, so good.
Yeah, absolute craziness right now on track. It is a heck of a race. Just looking right now, so Gab Chavez currently only holding a second gap on Tyler Torville. Had a lot of traffic to contend with last lap. Clocked in a 21.0 to Tyler Torville's 20.8. Oh, we do have an LMP3 off track. That's Ryan Blyce.
Yeah, he gets it back on track. I think he just ran a little wide in turn number 9. Decided to take just kind of like the runoff throughout all of that to keep it out of harm's way.
Yeah.
Oh, multi-class traffic is always an interesting one. Alex Velasco trying to rake his way back through the GT3s after getting a pit cycle done.
That's Joey Meliti, I believe, catching up to Matt Pyle in the number 12.
Oh, almost locking it up there. Almost right into Matt Pyle.
Did have to throw the anchor. Oh, and that's a flashing Matt Pyle.
Everybody gets through it. Tommy Kogan finding the way back into this fight.
In case the action wasn't too exciting, we also include jump scares whenever the network causes a car to
disappear. We got it. Okay.
Chris Turner manages to just keep the car going in the correct direction, and Ryan Blyce is catching these GT3s as they get ready to go into the corkscrew. Paul Miles right behind them.
Yeah. Ryan Blyce.
Now, here's the thing. Are they going to hold the wide line and let the LMP3s through? It doesn't look like it. I think Ryan Blyce probably going to have to wait until the hairpin to pull the trigger.
Yeah, especially if they want to get it done. I think the patience will be a virtue that pays big dividends here based on what we've seen earlier. We'll see whether these two can continue that process. Oh,
I believe
man.
that is Tim Mello getting in the mix.
Or it's like trying
Paul
to say,
Miles showing him the nose. Okay, so here we go. We're getting on the exit of turn 3. On the exit of turn 4, LMP3s really have to punch it to get through.
Well,
Paul Miles on the inside. Christopher Blue's going to box him in. It's going to give Ryan Blyce the opportunity in turn 5. He can definitely hold a little bit more of the corner speed with downforce, and then uphill now towards the kink. We do have Jonathan Barrett jumping to the pits along with William Lewis. Wonder what happened there. Just taking a look right now.
Yeah, let's take a quick look back here.
Oh,
See what happens.
oh, up to the kink. Oh no!
Self spin initially.
The back end steps.
Where does this go wrong? That's where it goes
oh.
wrong. As William Lewis happens to just pick the wrong side to go on versus where that car was rolling towards. And both of those cars.
Yep. That was unfortunate. So unfortunate.
That it surely was.
Yeah. I hope both drivers are okay, because that was a heck of a shunt.
Yeah, Michael Lively getting around Jaden Ledbetter here amongst all of that. Take a quick look, see how that lunge happened. So they, oh my God, 3 wide through the multi-class traffic, and then just keeps the nose in on the far side and just runs off to try to make the drag race happen. Just keeps the foot in. But multi-class traffic, a lapped LMP3 traffic. Oh boy. Okay, we're good.
Craziness, absolute craziness. Again, the thing about like keeping his foot in it on corner exit on Jaden was like he had him already kind of like on a pinched angle into the hairpin, so was able to carry way more speed throughout the entire corner, and you just see that pay off for him in a big way.
Absolutely, Jaden Ledbetter trying to figure out how to regain the speed here. Both Nathaniel Baker and Michael Lively getting around him as that in that chaos of those first couple corners. So I think it's going to be a bit of a rough one here once we get into the pit stop cycle. As I think we see Tanner Schiffer and Andrew
We're
Matthias.
getting close. We've got a few people that because of incidents. No.
All right. So, quick rundown of your leaders in class real quick as we get into the halfway mark. Ethan Hamlet going to be leading LMP3 Pro. LMP3M is going to have Jake Fulton finding himself at the head of this field after Ken Robertson dives into pit lane to get his first pit stop done. GT3 sees Gab Chavez still holding a very tight, close gap at this point right now to Tyler Torville. Keep an eye on those two. GT4 Pro has Nick Bowen 5 seconds ahead of Scott Fleming, who's here with these two drivers. And then GT4 AM sees Sean Sullivan still holding on a pretty solid lead to the likes of Logan Branson. And
yeah, all of this right now is pretty crazy because, again, it's like traffic management is such a big deal. We're getting close to that. We're getting close to that pit stop moment. Joey Milley getting back on track at the corkscrew.
Let's
see what
happens.
Pineda
as well as gets a little bit of a touch there as Robert Pineda tries to make this defensive line. Joseph Milley, I think, just had too much speed going into that. And then Tommy Kogan trying to pick up the pieces in the process, which makes it a 3-way fight further down the order. Not quite a 4-way fight. Ryan Buchanan lap down behind those drivers. No, I'm sorry.
Real quick, want to give a
give you a shout out, and then I'll correct myself.
Shout out to JJ Speed for the subscription with Prime. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the support.
Thank you.
We also have a follow from VA1 Chris. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Lots of people come and hang out with us. We got 17 in chat chilling. Appreciate it. We're watching round 4 of the sports car series at Laguna Seca.
Cannot take my eyes off the action even for a second amongst all this. Jack Wilkins as well as Luke Patrick in for respective pit cycles with the likes of Tyler Torville and Anthony Newman also diving in. GT3s and LMP3s starting to make their way in to get pit stops done. Ryan Blyce with a black flag. I think it's for an incident limit if I have had to imagine, given the off tracks that he's had up until this point. A lot of the GT3 field diving into pit lane. One of my least favorite pit entries, I think, in all of sim racing that I've had the pleasure of going through.
Man, the number of times I've seen somebody completely up in their race catching the tire barrier it's something else. It's something else. But yeah, the pit stop cycle around here, again, for the folks that have been able to kind of like push through and survive Again, if you're trying to minimize the amount of time you spend in the pits, lap times here are fast. You fall behind quickly. So I'm really interested to see what people do for these pit stop times. I'm going to be watching the pit timers as we keep our eyes on the action.
Yeah, well, that'd be a good, important thing to keep in mind, because that'll be, I think, what'll change a couple of these battles, because right now, only a few tenths separating some of them in terms of the battles that are happening on track, especially like this one between Matt Pyle, Stephen McLean, has ebbed and flowed as each of them has found time and lost a little bit of it. But now, both of them within a couple tenths of each other. I think Stephen McLean trying to figure out how to keep the defense up for this P6 position in class, with the likes of, gotta say, Levi Powell. I almost said Luke Powell, and I was like, that's not right. Levi Powell currently sitting in 4th in GT4, with the likes of Logan Branson currently trying to fight up with Sean Harvey for P2 in class. Interestingly enough, I think there is a big thing to talk about in GT4 AM's pit cycle. I'll let you see if you catch the thing that I think I'm catching amongst all that to talk about it. Phil, I'm not trying to say, hey, here's a puzzle for you to solve, but I think there is a good storyline there.
Well, for me, I've been watching the other classes right now. So tell me what you're seeing in GT4.
GT4 AM, Logan Branson 2 seconds ahead of Sean Sullivan after the pit cycle, because Sean Sullivan was in the box for 36 seconds, while Logan Branson was in the box for 25 seconds. So a much shorter pit cycle sees that leadership change.
An 11-second difference from line to line. Like big dividends for Logan Branson on that pit stop cycle. Another thing to pay attention to right now is after the pit stop, even with the early stop, Paul Miles cycles out behind Alan Love and Cameron Robertson. Jake Fulton right now getting out of the box right now, headed to the line. We're going to see if Alan Love and Paul Miles can cover the distance, maybe jump around him.
I think it'll be a tough ask, because Jake Fulton just cleared that pit out cone, and Alan Love, Paul Miles still a solid ways behind, almost getting lapped by Ethan Hamlet, who is still currently sitting in 1st here, ahead of all of these other drivers. So I think it'll be a little bit of a tough
One other
ask.
person to watch, you might need to scroll up a little bit in the events, but I see a double crash for Michael Lively right before he goes into the pits. I wonder if there was an incident on pit road. Although that Jake Fulton just going autocross. Okay, just a small touch. Getting ready to go in. Oh, there's a turn.
Wow, almost runs into Jaden Ledbetter.
Oh, and he's... Oh, wow.
Whoa.
That was crazy. He managed to keep that from really going bad. Hats off to him. We got Robert Lewis in the pits, Joey Melitti, Christopher Blue for GT3s. Those folks are pushing in a little bit deeper. Should we talk some more pit stops just to see how things are going from a strategy perspective?
We certainly can. I think we'll be bouncing around to a couple other battles that are happening on track while this is happening, but by all means.
Would you like me to inform you that Tanner Schiffner is going to his pit box right now? Would you like to look at the clock and tell me how many minutes have elapsed?
35 minutes.
So we might have somebody. We might have somebody that's going to try and risk it for the biscuit and go maybe one stop, because he's still in the box. We've elapsed the 35-minute mark, and we're going to keep watching his counter right now. Another big pit stop for me in particular, I want to take a look at the likes of folks like Christopher Blue, a 1:04 in the box. Kyle Potter had a 1:322. So again, we got people that are just really getting those quicker pit stops out of the way and really just gaining absolute ground. Nick Bowen, another one, 1:08 on a 1:09 for Scott Fleming. So just a little bit of time that he's able to eke out, and it's almost all on pit road entry, pit road exit, because they're in the box times were almost identical.
Interesting.
So yeah, pit stops are I think something that makes a big deal on the short tracks. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on that because I think we're going to have, for some of these guys, they're going to have to take another pit stop before the end.
I have to imagine that that's the case, given how I think only a few drivers, a few GT3s were able to make it to exactly the halfway mark to try to make a one-stop work. And I think there's still plenty of battling going on. Nathaniel Baker slowly being caught by Jaden Ledbetter. I think Jaden trying to make a fuel number work initially. I think now has had to change that plan just a little bit. Same, I think, with Tyler Torville and Gab Chavez, who find themselves within a second of each other. 123 out of Gab Chavez's most recent time by. I wonder if multi-class traffic didn't have a hand in how they were driving that one. And then with the likes of Tyler Torville getting the fastest lap this most recent time, or with the fastest lap overall, not the most recent time by, but in general, at 120.8 to 6. I gotta imagine is going to be a pretty interesting piece there to see how consistent he's being with that one.
It's pretty crazy action on track right now. We do have Ryan Blyce again off track.
Back
I think
at
that
the
might have
kink.
been at the kink.
Yep, there's the corkscrew. It's a very rough spot to be in.
So I did also want to comment on so of the folks, I believe it was Tanner Schiffner pushing incredibly deep, 25 laps deep. Only other person that close, we're looking at Ethan Hamlet with 24 laps on a tank. Joey Meliti, Robert Lewis, both with 24 laps. Now, Robert Lewis started from pit lane, so he had a little bit of an advantage in terms of, like, he started at the back of the pack, and he's just been kind of like working his way through traffic. Up 14 spots, by the way, from where he started.
Nice.
But just taking a look at the data right now, it is very interesting. One number kind of like sneaks out to me as a little bit, and this is somebody that got involved in some early shenanigans trying to work his way up right now. Paul York had to use that fast repair on lap 22, 44 seconds of pit lane travel time. So I'm thinking he probably just took fuel and then drove off. So we're going to see how that works out for Paul, see if he can gain some ground, maybe catch back up to Ryan Nolan, try and get some more points back on board for him.
I think that's going to be the goal there. I think he's got the opportunity there. If he keeps it consistent, is able to do so. Logan Branson now under fire amongst all that conversation, trying to keep ahead of Sean Sullivan, who he leapfrogged in the pit cycle, but now has to find the way to defend from the raw pace that built the gap that Sean Sullivan used or had to cause this to be only a few second gap between the two of them before or immediately after the pit cycle. And now the lap times are reflecting a couple of tenths faster pace pretty consistently throughout the lap. But I think when Robert Lewis also was working his way through multi-class traffic, that may throw a little bit of a couple wrenches in their plans.
Yeah, definitely gonna make things awkward, but at the same time, it looks like Logan Branson, for the amount of time that he made up for in pit cycle, he is bleeding it out relative to Sean Sullivan with dealing with multi-class traffic right now. And we got Gab Chavez and Tyler Torville in the background.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, those two still in the battle as well for the lead of GT3. Neither wanting to give up that fight either. I'm super curious if there's not going to be a bit of a pit stop duel the second time by. As a result, only a lap difference between the two of them, almost identical pit box times this most recent time by. But if Tyler Torville was able to save a little bit of fuel to make the second stop shorter, I got to imagine it'll be a bit of a interesting one for the two of them as they get into the final stages of this race.
Yeah, I do think that's going to be a big deal. Like, even though some people might not be able to make the one stop happen, I do think doing a little bit of a fuel save to reduce the amount of time. Well, I mean, no, doing a little bit of a fuel save just to avoid the amount of time that you spend in the box the second time.
Yes, yeah.
I think is kind of another thing that people can look at to try and maximize their pit strategy.
Yeah, I get the feeling that's going to be the thing that helps, makes or breaks a couple of these battles in classes that are still separated by half a second now at this point. Benjamin O'Shea in for a black flag for incident limits amongst all this. Like you said, track limits pretty stringent. And Jake Hewitt faking into the kink, seeing if he can get past Scott Fleming. There's a great run here out of the kink up the Rahal straight. Scott Fleming on the defensive. No opportunity for Jake to get around this time. So he's going to keep to his line. See if he can find another opportunity here coming up as they get through the corkscrew. It's always interesting to see. One thing, a big portion where you'll see the difference in lap times comes from whether or not how much they accelerate through that turn right after the corkscrew. Turn number 9, I believe, is going to be the one there, because depending on how much downforce you have, really dictates how much you're allowed to accelerate.
Whoa.
Oh. And a bad run through there. Multi-class traffic of Alan Love as well, trying to get through in the process.
Yeah, I think Jake just went in a little too hot into the hairpin, and that actually worked out, I think, to Alan Love's benefit. Ryan Blyce diving into the pits now. He was an early pit stop. Looks like he's going to get himself good to the end of the race. We'll see if he takes tires or not. But yeah, it is still a lot to play for right now. Would you do me a kindness, sir?
Certainly.
Just for the folks at home so they can see how wackadoodle this is right now, could you pull up the track map?
You mean
wow, okay.
This, busyness that's almost like the snake at the end of one of those old phone games that's almost not quite eating itself, but getting pretty darn close?
Oh, for me, I was going to say a Petri dish.
That too.
It looks like a lot of cells doing some action on the track map right now, and you can kind of see it as we constantly switch the camera back and forth between classes, and we're seeing a lot of inter-class battles happening, just trying to deal with like traffic management. Here's Jaden Ledbetter right now as he's catching up to, I believe it's Paul York, and he's going uphill right now. Paul York touching a little bit of the dirt on approach, and I think Jaden is really just trying to hold a gap to Nathaniel Baker.
That is, I think, the goal, especially as that gap has slowly been closing down. Nathaniel Baker finding a little bit more time here in the latter half. One of the two. Some version of afterwards of the first part of this race. The second half, in the back portion of that, finding a little bit more pace when the traffic is not interfering, which has caused that gap to close back down for a brief moment there. Then multi-class traffic is going to bring it open it back up again, and Jaden can breathe for a little while longer. 13 seconds behind Luke Patrick, who is 17 seconds behind Jack Wilkins. So a very busy group of cars up there, much like the busyness that is happening here. Gab Chavez still holding out as the leader here as they get through the rest of the GT4s and trying to find a way through. Tyler Torville being very patient amongst all this. Luke Patrick there on the outside of that will see himself lose a lot of that time we just talked about to Jaden Ledbetter. But Jaden Ledbetter still a little ways behind. But now
I see Alex Velasco and Luke Patrick off track. I think everybody's okay though. I think everybody in the Tyler Torville's around Gab Chavez.
Tyler Torville's around Gab Chavez. Yep, that is true.
Yep. At turn 13. Wonder what happened there. Can we take a look?
Yeah, we absolutely can. If I click the buttons right. Nope, that's going to be the Pal Miles off track that also happened at around the same time. We'll come back to that. This is the pass you're talking about, Tyler Torville. And this could be a little bit of an off track out of Gab Chavez, meaning that line gets compromised. And Tyler Torville just says, I was waiting for this moment for so long, and I finally gotten it.
And now Tyler Torville going to try and take the wedge and push some distance between him and Gab Chavez. Already a half second.
Gab Chavez trying to find the time. It ebbs and flows, much like a lot of these cars here. And the opportunities, I think, are going to be a bit interesting there. I want to see what happened with Luke Patrick here. 10 seconds off track amongst this. I wonder if there was a pair of incidents or two separate ones. Oh, nope. Much like we saw with Paul Miles there at that corner a little while ago.
Just kept it out of the wall and then keeps it off track for an extended period of time because it's got traffic rejoining, being very conservative, not trying to compromise his race any further than it is or anyone else's. And he gets it back out on track. And Paul Miles now in. This is for his second stop. Now, Paul Miles was one of the ones that did the Giga undercut. Is he going to be able to squeak something out relative to Jake Fulton and Cameron Robertson?
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Alex Velasco in for an incident limit as well. Tyler Torville having to cede the position back to Gab Chavez for the lead of GT3 as a result of multi-class traffic. It giveth and it taketh away is often the phrase I hear with that sort of thing. I think it is still a very true saying. regardless of what part of the multi-class traffic you are a part of, whether you're the car doing the passing, being passed, or in the middle like these GT3s are for this league here. You get a little bit of everything with the GT3. It's the same reason I love the LMP2 in the classic IMSA splits that have these GT3s as well as the LMP2s and GTPs.
Yeah, being the middle class in multi-class racing in particular can be pretty tricky. I think especially on these short form tracks for us, the fact that GT3s in terms of actual top speed are comparable to the LMP3s, I think also can sometimes make it awkward. The LMP3s are really just going to have to leverage the fact that they can hold better aero into turns 5, maybe into turn 9, and then they just have to like be patient and wait for their opportunities pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of patience out of these LMP3s to get past GT3s. Acceleration, like you said, really the big difference. Along with the downforce, Alex Velasco outside of corkscrew, because that car slowly rotated and turned back around, has a black flag. I wonder if it's a different one than the one that he came down to serve, but is able to do it. Paul Miles is going to pick up a position there as a result. We'll see those cars continue to work their way around. Taking a look now. Few of the battles mostly resolved. One that hasn't resolved. Bottom step of the GT4 Pro podium. Jake Hewitt was battling with Scott Fleming prior to some multi-class traffic. Now Henry Garcia trying to see if he can break into that. Oh, Jake Hewitt, I think, is still struggling with that final corner. Look at how much time just gets lost in that one. And you see the drag race there. Paul York going to split the difference, try to figure out his own way through.
Yeah, he's got 2 GT4s fighting for position in front of him.
I think he just waits. He's like, I'll let them sort it out first.
Yeah. Probably the way to play it.
Be smart, be sensible, be patient. Ryan Nolan off on the inside of the Andretti hairpin.
Oh, I hope he didn't get stuffed in there and then get hit with the black flag for that.
I don't see one on him for it, so I think he's okay.
Yeah.
Alex Velasco in to serve that black flag penalty. I wonder if it was for speeding on pit lane after the incident earlier. So it looks like he's going to be down there for a little ways, a little long time. Dave Schneider also jumping down to pit lane to get a final pit stop in. What? If you were working on kind of the final 20 minutes of this race, what's the plan?
Oh, the plan for me is I'm going to try and undercut my competition and try and spend the least amount of time putting fuel in my car. That is going to be my strategy going in. If I'm chasing somebody or I'm trying to stay out in front, definitely got to undercut the competition and try and reduce the amount of time that you're in the pit box.
Yeah, I think that's...
I think it's true for endurance racing, but I think a track here with short form, I think the saying holds true. Never let your competition undercut you.
I like that. Makes sense. These two still battling out for the top step of the podium in GT3. LMP3 Pro sees Ethan Hamlin still 16 seconds ahead of Jack Wilkins, who's now 30 seconds ahead of Luke Patrick. It's going to be, I think, a busy one there. That one, I think, is going to be solved in the pit lane, if nowhere else, as these drivers, I think, are mostly just cruising with what they've got at this point. And then the LMP3 AM category, Cameron Robertson finding himself at the top despite some of the chaos earlier. And then the likes of Benjamin O'Shea trying to work his way back through this traffic. You see him right there. We're still riding along with these GT3s.
Whoa.
Big old check up there to make sure that he doesn't run into Nathaniel Baker just up the road, which causes Tyler Torville to now be separated by a little over a second to the drivers in front of him. In GT4 Pro, Nick Bowen, another fantastic drive so far with just under 20 minutes to go. Sees him still at the top. Scott Fleming. Henry Garcia now getting past Jake Hewitt for the bottom step of the GT4 podium, or GT4 Pro podium, GT4 AM. Sees Logan Branson still fending off Sean Sullivan and Corey Lobner not far behind. I want to kind of see what a ride along with Corey Lobner is. I know we could just go pull up his Twitch stream. I don't think it's quite the same idea as using the proper tools. But we could do it, I suppose. Be a little bit delayed.
at the same time, it is just wonderful to watch the GT4 Mustang try and navigate itself around this track into the hairpin. You can see him working the steering on corner exit. We got Kyle Potter in the pits with a black flag, so I believe that's going to be for incident limit.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Taking a look at the data right now, we're still waiting to see who's going to, with less than 19 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes down first. I think we've got to get a second pit stop done for most of these drivers as they all came in before the halfway mark. Oh, good look here. Good run out of Sean Sullivan. Logan Branson, got to be defensive on the inside here. These two of them going to bring Corey Lobner more seriously into the fight. It's going to be a drag race out of the kink. Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
This is going to be a little intense.
What is going to happen?
Oh, Logan Branson's going to end up running
Sean
wide.
Sullivan. Yeah, Sean Sullivan saying, okay, all right, you're going to take the inside line. I'm just going to let you do that, and we're going to do the over-under. And Sean Sullivan manages to sneak it out. Corey Lobner in the background. Matt Pyle's got to throw the anchor into the corkscrew. And we got some LMP3 traffic in the background.
Running very wide. Did not run into those GT4s.
Yeah, Tyler Torville, 6/10 back. Gonna have to find his way to navigate around too. Man, this is, you know, if I'm a GT4 and I'm dealing with this kind of traffic right now and I'm gonna have to pit right now, I might be thinking about pulling the trigger now. Like just get enough fuel to get to the end of the race. You've only got to go 18 minutes. Cameron Robertson is in the pits. We're going to see how he cycles out relative to Paul Miles, who did the Giga undercut. Both him and who else was it that did the undercut with them?
Alan Love.
Although actually, I think it was Alan Love. Yeah.
Oh, Michael Lively in with a black flag. Is that for incident limits or is that for a speeding penalty?
It's got to be for incident limit.
Or is it for unsafe pit entry? Nope. He parks it and tows. What happened here?
Yeah, I wonder if. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, that's what happened here.
That's what happened.
Oh no!
And just barely taps Ryan Buchanan in the process, and then he goes off track there, which is where it's now an unsafe pit entry. So he's going to be in that box for I think a little bit longer than he wants to be. Oh, that is a rough way to end 55 minutes of racing. I think he has said, I'm going to make this my drop week. I'm done.
Yeah, that was crazy. We got Ryan Buchanan coming out, cycling out into some GT3 traffic. He's got, I believe, Tommy Cogan in the background with him, and Christopher Blue is going to cycle out around him. Just taking a look right now, Paul Miles cycling out, and I believe Cameron Robertson is going to stay out in front. So I'm thinking that Paul Miles taking that early pit stop had to have been for something, even though we didn't see it in the data, because he ended up really far back relative to the front two.
I can't remember if he had that incident just before or just after. He did have that off track that resulted in that because of that lockup. I'm trying to remember if that was also part of it. Luke Patrick labeled as crashed.
And there's a black flag for him too. So I wonder if he's going to have to serve something here.
Yeah, incident limit here. We're going into turn number 5, the one that you're talking about. Taking names. Oh, just too much rotation.
Back end just steps out.
Yep. But that's going to cost him. Go down 2 positions here. Jaden Ledbetter, Nathaniel Baker going to work around him. So Jaden Ledbetter working his way into a podium position. Tommy Cogan, Christopher Blue in a battle. And then further back, Ryan Nolan, both of the Ryans, Ryan Nolan, Ryan Buchanan, were in a battle. Still are technically, but over a second between those two drivers. Andrew Matthias getting chased down by Ryan Blyce for overall positions. And then Alan Love splitting the difference between Gab Chavez and Tyler Torville. Tyler Torville a few seconds behind at this point as a result of this multi-class traffic. Corey Lobner trying not to get too wrapped up amongst all of that.
I also think there's Ethan Hamlin up the road.
Yes.
Ethan Hamlin's setting his fastest lap the lap prior to this one with a 16.2. So Ethan,
Man.
pretty quick. Big stonks. All right, just taking a look right now at some more of the data. Just waiting to see when we're going to see people pull the trigger again, because again, we're looking at lap 43. I think we might get to. I think we might get to 50 laps. If we get to 50 laps, I think we're going to have to see some people pull the trigger on pit stops.
Yeah, the math, I think, is just shy of 50, maybe like 49 or 50 or maybe 51. But either way, I think it's going to be one where people are going to have to come in for another pit stop. We saw a bunch of drivers do it already. Gian Cardoso going to be the next to make the move. Paul Miles here as well. I was looking at him because he has a black flag for incident limit amongst all this. So it is going to be, I think, a bit of
that's unfortunate.
Rough one there. But see where he cycles out relative to Alan Love. May stay on that LMP3 podium. But with these drivers all working their way down, battles mostly resolved for the moment. Of course, as soon as I say that, it always is willing to change.
Oh, they're so close.
As Chris Turner... right. Ryan Blythe getting past Andrew Mathias. That's what I was seeing. I saw a change in position somewhere. And that was for overall positions as Ryan Blythe is reclaiming his way through the GT3 traffic. Much like Tommy Kogan trying to get around the likes of Christopher Blue. Two mid-engine GT3s battling it out for position as Ryan Blythe finds himself off track once again. I think going to be another penalty for him for that incident there at the hairpin. Oh.
Crazy action here at Laguna Seca. The track limits around here are absolutely punishing. Tommy Kogan, though, he's going to try and hang close to Christopher Blue, and they're reaching Logan Branson right now, and Christopher Blue had to throw the anchors on a little bit later in the corner, but is going to find his way around Logan Branson, and as is Tommy Kogan. And Logan Branson just keeping his head on a swivel and still hanging on to that top spot in, second in. But that's because he has executed another pit stop already. He executed his pit stop on 35. We're still waiting to see Sean Sullivan, who pitted on lap 20, pull the trigger.
Yeah, we're waiting on Sean Sullivan. Logan Branson getting the pit stop done because he knew he was going to need more fuel. A lot of the GT drivers in the GT4s are going to need it. As we're going to see these last closing minutes of GT multi-class racing action. Gab Chavez still holding on the lead of GT3, or LMP3 Pro. Ethan Hamlet still 30 seconds ahead of Jack Wilkins at this point. LMP3 AM. Cameron Robertson still finding that consistency despite kind of having almost not the roughest start, but not, I would say, one that it was initially going to seem very consistent, but finding consistency throughout this race has been a very good one there. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Newman going to be working his way out of pit lane amongst these drivers. I think just ahead of them, Ryan Blythe as well from that black flag penalty. As we get into the last 10 minutes left.
In the box for 7 seconds. Yep, in the box for 7 seconds. And still waiting to see who's going to pull the trigger from Gab Chavez or Tyler Torville. Luke Patrick, Gab Chavez, Alan Love, Tyler Torville all crashed
in the hairpin. Let's take a look back. We're gonna hit the slow-mo on this because I need to see something. We're gonna pop over to the blimp cam. This is one turn before the turn number 10, 90-degree hairpin. William Lewis amongst this. Luke Patrick trying to get the turn done. Gets tipped by William Lewis, who's trying to get back onto the racing line. Causes Luke Patrick to go braking hard. Gab Chavez nowhere to figure out what's going on there. Gets turned around amongst all this. Alan Love dives down the inside, trying to make the corner. Never going to make it work. Tyler Torville bumping into Alan Love amongst this. And the likes of, I believe, Levi Powell going to join into that party as well as William Lewis getting through that.
Craziness.
And that upends the race further. Cameron Robertson now fighting Luke Patrick for P5 overall with Tyler Torville splitting the difference between them as this race reaches the final 10 minutes. And Luke Patrick has a wide line here. Cameron Robertson looking for the... Oh, boy, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, if I'm Gab Chavez or I'm Tyler Torville, I'm diving to the pits right now. I'm going to get the job done. Although Gab Chavez is going to try and extend. Tanner Schiffner, who pitted on lap 25, will probably get into second here in a moment. Just want to say that out loud.
See where he ends up. Luke Patrick diving in. Jack Wilkins also diving into pit lane from their respective spots.
I believe we're still on replay, though.
Are we still on replay?
Or at least it says on mine. Mine may be glitched, though.
That may be glitched. I have hit live. It seems live on my end, so...
Yeah, no, it didn't change on my end. It was just glitched on my client. So we're good. Cool.
Great.
We're good. So that said, Tyler Torville, going to downgrade to third after the pit cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Mathias in the pits. A lot of GT3s going in. Jack Wilkins in the pits for 7 seconds. Luke Patrick in the box for 12. So pit stop cycles are coming around.
Yep, Cameron Robertson.
Did Tanner Schiffner just... Go ahead.
No, finish what you said.
Well, I was just saying, did Tanner Schiffner manage to pull it off?
Well, we've got 8 minutes.
I think we're about to find out.
Yeah, we're about to find out. 8 minutes on the docket. We're on lap 48 overall, but I believe we're working their lap 47 or 46. I'm trying to remember exactly how many times Ethan Hamlet has passed this whole field. I think it's only once for the GT3 Pro drivers. So I get the feeling we're going to see Ethan Hamlet come down in the next couple laps. He did 24 in that first stint, and we'll get done there fairly soon. So I think it's possible, but not improbable. Alan Love, however, going to pass Paul Miles, who finds his way back on track. And Cameron Robertson going to run right by him. Oh, Paul Miles, I think, has those tires overheated now.
I think they're just going to be really hard to get back into the temperature window. Corey Lobner in the pits. So with Nick Bowen and Henry Garcia coming out of the pits right now, Nick Bowen drops to second. Scott Fleming going into first.
Yep. Scott Fleming winning out. Check the pit times. I think you'll find the answer to why Scott Fleming finds himself in first.
Yep.
The pit times there.
And that would be I believe that's an 11-second difference almost.
In the favor
More
of
than
Scott
10
Fleming,
seconds,
I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, just over 10 seconds.
Big delta.
So that is why. But the gap not too far open or closed between Nick Bowen and Henry Garcia. All of the GT4s, I think, for the most part, in GT4 Pro and GT4 AM are getting their pit cycles done. Sean Sullivan now being the faster GT4 on pit road for the closing sector. I wonder if Logan Branson just didn't fully fuel up with that original pit stop, and that is why he ended up with a 20-second one this most recent time by. And
yeah, possible. I will say there is a 15-second, almost 16-second gap between Gab Chavez and Tanner Schiffner, but Gab Chavez pitted on lap 23.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking it's got to be getting close. Ethan Hamlet, Nathaniel Baker, both in on this lap.
Yeah, Stephen McLean as well, but he's serving a drive-through penalty for incident limits. We're keeping an eye on this battle in GT4 Pro. This is going to be for 5th place overall. Colin Johnson as well as Tim Mello, the two of those drivers working through their most recent lap. I see a lot of GT4 Porsches, which is super fun.
I think it's a pretty popular car in the category. I think Cayman does a lot of good work. That said, as far as GT4 machinery, my heart's after the Mustang right now because I just like the fact that it looks twice the size of every other GT4 car. It does look like a bit like a Ford-shaped bus. Gab Chavez in the pits now.
Ooh, it's interesting to see if Tanner
Schiffner gonna do it.
He's going to pass Gab Chavez right now for the lead of GT3.
And Gab Chavez in the box for less than 6 seconds. We've got Adrian Maruzek and Ryan Buchanan both crashed.
Ryan Blythe also joining them.
So can Tanner Schiffner squeak this one out? We're about to find out.
Yeah, I want to see who wins the duel off pit lane. Gab Chavez retaining his position ahead of Tyler Torville, both of them behind Tanner Schiffner for the moment. Let's take a look back at what happened with Adrian Maruzek amongst all this, as well as Ryan Buchanan, who is right there in that Corvette. Oh, he gets tipped, has to brake, can't brake ideally. Oh my gosh! And David Schneider just clobbers Adrian Maruzek.
Yeah, I think unfortunately once Dave Schneider was kind of like bumped off into the gravel, like he just couldn't stop. You see him, he's hitting it, and then the bumps just send him in. At that point, it's just like he's a passenger. Yeah, once he hit the gravel, it was kind of over.
Yeah, it's a unfortunate heartbreak to the end of this race for those drivers. Meatball flag for Drew Friedman amongst all that, which is separate.
Very unfortunate.
And a black flag for Dave Schneider. What happened here? Oh, snap of oversteer on that Ford bus and just slamming that front end in.
Unfortunate.
All right.
Robert Lewis, Ryan Nolan, both in their pits. Robert Lewis about to cycle out, only in the box for 4.48 seconds. Christopher Blue diving into the pits now.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes left on the clock. We'll see if Tanner Schiffner can, in fact, pull off the one stop to find himself at the top of the field simply by being the fastest. Gian Cardoso now, I'm trying to figure out how he ended up there. Gian Cardoso with a black flag penalty, so a bit of a rough day for him. Paul Miles also, I think, involved in this as both of them went off track around at the same time. That's because Gian Cardoso gets tipped and has a bit of a moment, rolls it over onto the hood, gets it back on the roof. That is a surprisingly little amount of damage for what just happened to that car. Well, never mind. He just bumped into the
for
car.
that car basically doing a kickflip.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Really unfortunate. So that said, we got the race still going on between Tanner Schiffner. Well, Gab Chavez, Tyler Torville still duking it out, but Tanner Schiffner right now 12 seconds ahead with less than 2 minutes on the clock. Both him and Matt Pyle pitted on lap 25. Joey Melitti also on lap 24 still has yet to pit. So there are people that are really trying to sneak it out to the end of this race.
That is, I think, very much the case. Toby Bozeman trying to take the fight to Levi Powell. Got the over-under completed earlier. I get the feeling that Sophie is going to try to see if she has a response to that fight. 2/10 ahead. We'll see how these two duke it out. One of the closest battles on track, much like Tommy Kogan and Andrew Mathias are going to go too wide into the hairpin. And Andrew Mathias, I think, is going to end up eking out a little bit of a better line through there just by having the quicker rotation. But Tommy's going to have the speed. It's going to be an interesting over-under for the turn to Andretti hairpin. Andrew Mathias goes defensive. Tommy Kogan has to go around the long way. I think he's going to look for the over-under, but it's not going to quite go to plan. Amongst that, Levi Powell getting the outside run on the Andretti hairpin just behind these two gives Sophie Bozeman back this position for 10th overall. I believe it's going to be 8th in class if we split those open.
I think we are about to see the end of this race right now, as I believe Ethan Hamlet will be on white flag as of right now. And he is just now hitting the corkscrew behind Jaden Ledbetter.
Oh, my gosh.
Because we have elapsed.
He has lapped all but 2 cars. If he gets past Jaden Ledbetter, I think Jaden Ledbetter is going to fight him for it because he wants to finish on the lead lap along with the rest of the field. Well, actually, along with Jack Wilkins and Ethan Hamlet.
We still got people pulling triggers on pit stops here at the very end, and Ethan Hamlet's going to take the win.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Take the win, finishing well ahead of most of the field. Nathaniel Baker's going to come home in 4th. Benjamin O'Shea getting a last lap penalty served. We're just going to see him come out on top there. Gian Cardoso is going to serve his penalty as well at the end. Tanner Schiffner, trying to finish up this lap to come home. The winner of GT3, Scott Fleming, is going to take home the win in GT4 Pro. GT4 AM is going to see Sean Sullivan, I believe, take home that win. We'll take a look at that here in a second. Keeping an eye on this drive here, and then where Tyler Tourville, now 3 seconds behind Gab Chavez, as Tanner Schiffner pulls off the one stop and is able to secure a win here at Laguna Seca. Man,
it felt real when I saw him pit on lap 25. I'm like, it feels real.
Yeah, I think
look at the size of the Aston Martin compared to the Cayman. Oh my God, looks like a Matchbox car.
It's same is true for the Porsche GT3 versus the Cayman. It's like it looks like you have the go-kart variant or like the Tonka trucks variant of the GT of the of whatever GT3 is.
I'm just gonna say it right now. GT4 is full of kick cars. That said, it was very exciting, especially in the GT4 race. Scott Fleming, Nick Bowen, Henry Garcia. That was a really interesting battle. Sean Sullivan squeaking it out for the win. Logan Branson sticking it out and getting that second place finish in the Porsche. That's a really good finish for Logan. And Sean Harvey in third. Are you kidding me?
I am not sure.
Is Chris Turner like? Oh, everybody is finished. Okay.
Yes, everybody.
Well, I just wanted to make sure.
So,
I just wanted to make sure because I still see Chris Turner turning laps around track, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, is he not done yet?
No,
but,
he is.
He is.
He is done. So we'll take a look at the results here. Everybody else coming in the finish line as well, or coming back into pit lane after the race. LMP3 Pro is going to come home with Ethan Hamlet as its winner, with Jack Wilkins 40 seconds behind. And Jaden Ledbetter, another minute and 20, just ahead of Ethan Hamlet, not to be a lap down. The rest of this field, all at least a lap down, some 2 laps down, a couple of DNFs with Michael Lively and Alex Velasco. A busy time in the LMP3 category. I think we tried to cover as much as we could there, but I think there were still more battles that we hadn't quite yet caught. LMP3 AM, however, Phil, I think is equally as storied.
Yeah, Cameron Robertson taking the win, High Voltage Motorsport with Jake Fulton in second, Alan Love in third, Paul Miles in fourth with Ryan Blyce in fifth. So LMP3 AM going to see a little bit of a point shakeup, but I think Paul Miles still has a pretty sizable lead. So we're going to see what it looks like when we get ready to go into Detroit.
Absolutely. The GT3 category, Tanner Schiffner going to come home the win with that one stopper with Gab Chavez 9 seconds behind. Tyler Tourville a few seconds behind that, with Anthony Newman rounding out the top 4, with Andrew Mathias a lap down in the top 5. Tommy Kogan, Christopher Blue, Matt Pyle, Chris Turner, Joseph Malidi going to be the top 10 of our 17-car GT3 filled with the likes of Herbert Pineda, Robert Lewis, Brian Buchanan, 19-car field. Ryan Buchanan, Stephen McLean, Ryan Nolan, whilst Kyle Potter and Paul York finishing a few laps down. Austin Green and as well as Eduardo Zamora going to be DNFs for this race after big incidents in the heat and feature races for them. GT4 Pros, Phil.
Scott Fleming, only 4/10 ahead of Nick Bowen there at the end. So really tight race there in GT4 Pro with Henry Garcia in third, Jake Hewitt in fourth, Tim Mello in fifth, with Colin Johnson, Corey Lobner, and Sophie Bozen 6, 7, and 8. Levi Powell in ninth with Lee Wu 25 laps down at the end for GT4 Pro.
Fantastic stuff. Last but certainly not least, GT4 AM, equally interesting. I have so much fun watching the GT4 AM drivers continue to work it out and fight with each other. Both the GT4 classes, really. Sean Sullivan going to be the leader there, coming home the winner ahead of Logan Branson. A fun fight between the two of them, and pit stop strategies, I think, playing a huge part in how that result shaped up the way it was. Sean Harvey going to round out that podium with Andrew Seelig and William Lewis rounding out the top 5. John Newman, Adrian Marzak, Dave Schneider, Drew Friedman, and Jonathan Barrett being the top 10, with I think Jonathan Barrett being our only DNF of the GT4 AM category. All right.
What a wild race.
Absolutely.
What a wild one, huh?
For sure. Closing thoughts, Phil.
It was just a crazy race, man. I mean, there was a lot going on. Definitely a lot to take in, but at the same time, it was I think a good show because the traffic management and a lot of the work that the guys had to do on track, I feel like it's going to pay dividends for those who were patient, and then the action on track was just something else to behold. But yeah, shout out to I just want to give a big shout out. That was a large field. I can't remember the total number of cars that we had, but just want to say that the drivers that like stuck it out and did like and were like incredibly patient and maximizing the points for their respective seasons and stuff like that. That's just a big deal.
Mhm.
Like this is tough racing. It's a tough track. 70 minutes around Laguna Seca is brutal, even when you're not doing multi-class. So hats off to everybody who participated.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. It is going to be such a fun one to get in here. We also think we have a raid, so thank you for the raid. For those of you who are joining us, we're just wrapping up the end of this race.
The Croco Gaming.
Heck yeah. So thank you very much for that. We are wrapping up this week's race. Next time out, we are going out to Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, in a couple weeks' time.
Oh, yeah. Bumpy Belle Isle. It's about to get bumpy.
It's really
about to get real bumpy. But
and we'll get
should I go ahead and get the raid set up?
I think so. I think I'm running out of words to use to tell that this was busy. It was a fantastic race. It seemed like a lot of fun to be out there on track. It was equally as fun. It was, boy, howdy, it was hectic to keep up. But I think I definitely am really learning the meaning of endurance racing from a commentary standpoint today. So it's been, I think, a very fun one in a different capacity for me. So getting to watch all these cars go around and try to keep up with the traffic, with everything that was happening, I think has been a blast. I think I'm excited to see how Detroit Belle Isle shapes up in a couple weeks' time. That is going to be on March 14th. Mm-hmm. My one weekend in March. That's not quite right. One of my 2 weekends in March. I'm home, and otherwise I'll be gone places. So it'll be fun.
Yep.
But let's get this raid queued up. I believe Jaden has given us a place to go to.
Yep, we did get the directive. We are going to be heading to go see Quirk, although my interface is broken, so I don't know if the raid's going to work or not. We're just going to let that timer run out because I can't see the button. Like the raid now button is not there. So
all right. Well, we'll keep you entertained for a little while longer. We got about 20 or so seconds. This is a great time. If you haven't already and you want to be a part of the action, Track Limits Racing. We have a website. We have SimGrid. We have a Discord. Discord is a place to be if you want to get in on this action, if you want to keep up with everything happening in it, where the championship stuff is and where it's all at in terms of point standings, race results, all that stuff. That is over on the website. We also have the Discord. The Discord has everything to get yourself up and running. We have, I think, technically 0 openings right this very second, but oftentimes we'll open up openings midway through the season. So at the end, likely of next week, we'll probably see a couple of those open up. But don't quote me for that when inevitably it doesn't happen because we have so many drivers that are just having too much fun with the 53 car grid we had tonight. I think we could have had a couple more cars.
Yeah, we could have had a few more cars. It could have been a little bit crazier, but at the same time, it was an exciting experience. But with that, see you guys later.
And
I forgot how fast.
The width